May 2019. The Iron Throne melts. Drogon flies away carrying Daenerys Targaryen's body to somewhere no camera follows. Jon Snow walks north of the Wall into the wilderness with the Free Folk. Sansa Stark is crowned Queen in the north. Arya Stark sails west of Westeros toward an unknown continent that no known map shows. Bran Stark becomes king of the Six Kingdoms, and approximately 1/3 of the world's television audience immediately opened social media to say, that is not what should have happened. Game of Thrones Season 8 is the most discussed television finale in the history of the medium. Not because it was universally loved or universally hated, but because it produced a specific kind of passionate disagreement that has never stopped. 7 years later, in 2026, that conversation is louder than ever. Not because Season 9 is coming, it is not, but because the universe that Season 8 left behind has become something nobody predicted. The most aggressively expanding franchise in prestige television history. And the question is no longer whether Game of Thrones continues, but in how many simultaneous directions it can expand before the audience stops following. Let me be completely honest about Season 9 first, because you deserve the truth before the excitement. Kit Harington said, "God, no," in December 2025, when Variety asked whether he would return as Jon Snow. Emilia Clarke told the New York Times in January 2026 that she has zero interest in any fantasy projects and considers her Daenerys chapter fully closed. The Jon Snow spin-off series that HBO spent significant development resources on was ultimately abandoned, not because the character is uninteresting, but because the writers could not identify a story worth telling that the original show had not already more satisfyingly concluded. And the fundamental structural reason Season 9 will never happen is the simplest one. The character arcs of the original show's principles all landed. Jon Snow found his true nature and chose the wild. Arya found her adventure and chose the unknown. Sansa found her power and chose her home. The remaining original cast has moved on with the specific finality of people who have genuinely processed that chapter of their lives and built new ones. But here is what is extraordinary about the Game of Thrones universe in 2026. The absence of Season 9 has not diminished the franchise. It has liberated it. HBO has stopped trying to continue the original story and started trying to expand the world that story existed in, and the results have been genuinely remarkable. Let me walk you through every single active project, because the scale of what HBO is building is staggering. House of the Dragon Season 3 releases June 2026, confirmed to open with the Battle of the Gullet, one of the most anticipated single battle sequences in franchise history. The Dance of the Dragons, the civil war between Rhaenyra Targaryen and Aegon II for the Iron Throne, is at its most catastrophic and most emotionally devastating point. Season 3 is where the story stops being a political drama and becomes a tragedy in the classical sense. The kind where you watch people you love make the exact decisions you know will destroy them and cannot look away. The showrunners describe it as the season where the hope runs out. A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, the Dunk and Egg series, already completed its first season and earned an 84% Rotten Tomatoes score. Peter Claffey's Sir Duncan the Tall and Dexter Sol Ansell's Young Egg have become two of the most beloved new characters in the franchise since the original series. Season 2 is already in development. The show proved something critically important. The Game of Thrones universe does not need Jon Snow or Daenerys or any of the original cast to generate genuine audience affection for new characters. And then there is the announcement that genuinely changed the franchise's ambition level. At CinemaCon 2026, Warner Brothers officially confirmed the first ever theatrical Game of Thrones film, Aegon's Conquest, written by Mattson Tomlin, telling the story of Aegon Targaryen and his sisters Visenya and Rhaenys, who united Westeros with 3 dragons, including Balerion the Black Dread. The franchise that began as a prestige cable drama is going to cinemas for the first time in its history, and the story being told is the creation myth of everything that came after, the reason the Iron Throne exists, the moment that defined Westeros for the next 300 years. George R.R. Martin himself revealed something in early 2026 that rewrote every fan's understanding of where this franchise is heading. He confirmed that Game of Thrones sequels, not prequels, actual shows set after the events of Season 8, are in active development at HBO, multiple projects. The most intriguing, confirmed by Martin, is a show centered on Arya Stark, exploring what lies west of Westeros, being developed by writer Kwok Dang Tran. The question that the finale's final image asked, Arya's ship sailing toward the edge of all known maps, is finally going to receive an answer. And a stage production called The Mad King, exploring the love story of Rhaegar Targaryen and Lyanna Stark, and the rebellion that Robert Baratheon led against the Targaryen dynasty, is opening at the Royal Shakespeare Theatre in Stratford-upon-Avon this summer of 2026. An animated Corlys Velaryon series is in development. The universe is expanding in television, film, stage, and animation simultaneously. The Winds of Winter, George R.R. Martin's 6th novel in the A Song of Ice and Fire series, remains unfinished and unscheduled. It is the most anticipated unpublished book in the history of popular literature. Without it, the sequel discussion has no definitive source material to build from. Every sequel in development must navigate the specific uncertainty of not knowing how Martin intends to conclude the original story. That uncertainty is both a creative obstacle and a creative freedom. The shows can go further, because the author has not yet drawn the line. Season 9 is a ghost. The franchise it haunts is alive, growing, expanding, building in directions the original series never imagined. The Iron Throne melted. What replaced it is bigger than any single chair could have held. And from what HBO is building in 2026, the story that George R.R. Martin started telling in 1996 is nowhere near its last chapter.